at it again. It's another edition of the All Access Football Daily Show here on this September 12th, 2025. Buckle up. It's a Football Friday affair, another jam-packed show for you here today. We've got a lot to get into, starting with the Green Bay Packers taking care of business against the Washington Commanders. We'll also have in the B block a little preview of the college football slate ahead. We've got a lot of college football action, some quarterbacks under the spotlight, some names you need to know for the upcoming 2026 NFL Draft coming up in the C block at 10:40 a.m. Eastern. I'm looking forward to this interview with Austin Brooks, the film guy. If you're watching on YouTube, check out his channel, The Film Guy. He's all over the place breaking down film. We're going to chop it up with him. Of course, I worked with Austin over at Sports Illustrated when he covered the Bulldogs, so we'll get into the Bulldogs and Tennessee Volunteers SEC showdown coming up on this Saturday. Of course, I am Ric Serritella, telling it like it is when it comes to the NFL Draft and everything pigskin. It's always draft season at allaccessfootball.com. Make sure you check out our Draft Insider that was just posted a little while ago. As a matter of fact, we've got over 60 prospects listed for the Texas A&M Notre Dame affair, as well as the Tennessee and Georgia game, verified measurements, scouting reports, projections. If you like football, you'll love allaccessfootball.com. It's your home for real football talk, so check it out. We've also got a great promo going on. If you subscribe right now, you get 30% off the All Access Annual Pass. Unlock all of our premium content. Of course, that includes the 2026 NFL Draft Bible with over 500 scouting reports. Something we've been doing since 2002. All right, let's get into this Commanders and Packers game. Buckle up. Lots to talk about in this affair. The Green Bay Packers, boy, oh boy, you hate to put too much stock or emphasis on 2 weeks, but man, this Packer team looks really good, really dominant against Detroit, and just really taking care of business, like I alluded to, against these Washington Commanders. And man, I just got some really devastating news. Here we go again. The Packers took care of business against the Commanders. And Jordan Love, I was on this Packers bandwagon last year. I had them actually picked to go to the Super Bowl. And I may have hopped off the bandwagon a little bit too early. And the arrival of Micah Parsons, really, there's a little bit feeling of destiny. Again, it's only week 2, but you think back to the impact Reggie White had with the Packers the year they went and won the Super Bowl. And it's the same kind of sense, the same kind of feeling. And you could sense it with the home Lambeau Field crowd, right? And they were chanting after the game, "Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Jerry." And I saw our good friend Mike Tanier, fellow Substack publisher, commented, "Let's all agree on one thing. The biggest loser here tonight was the Dallas Cowboys." I mean, how do you give up this guy, Micah Parsons? You saw him again, got credited with a half a sack, increased his rep total from 30 in week 1 to 47 here in week number 2. So he played 68% of the snaps and still made an impact. He's like, yo, we need to ramp this thing up. Let's go. He's asking for more playing time. And you saw he was a problem for rookie right tackle Josh Connerly. And quite frankly, that's going to be a big problem area for the Washington Commanders moving forward, because Connerly, he's never played right tackle before. You saw he had issues last week against the Giants a little bit, had issues all night last night. So they're going to have to figure out a way, maybe sign a fullback or have some tight end help there for Josh Connerly until he gets acclimated to the National Football League. But you talk about this Packers defense, man, oh man, oh man, they come at you, don't they? With Rashawn Gary, Devontae Wyatt was in the backfield. We're going to start charging these guys rent, right? They're making a living in the backfield so much. So the Packers clicking on all cylinders. The offense, and neither team left this game unscathed. We'll get to that in a minute. But, Jaden Daniels obviously under duress all night, 4 sacks. Well, Jordan Love, he has seemed to elevated his game, and he had that thumb injury last year, maybe hindered his development. We've been waiting for Jordan Love to take the next step. I heard them talking on the broadcast about how grateful he was to sit for 3 years behind Aaron Rodgers and how much he learned. Even if Aaron Rodgers wasn't a hands-on teacher, he had a very good pupil in Jordan Love who took notes, and you can tell that his style of play uh, reflects some of that, right? And so uh, Josh Jacobs is going to do work, 23 carries, 84 yards. All he does is wear guys down. And I mentioned that these teams did not leave the game unscathed. So Jaden Reed, the wide receiver, looks like he suffered a collarbone injury and is going to miss anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. Okay. But that's okay, my friends, because this Packers offense, let's be honest, they don't have superstar playmakers, but it's a cast of relatively unknown characters who just get the job done. And we talked about the 12 personnel, Tucker Kraft with the big game, Luke Musgrave showing up a little bit. I like the tight end combination that they have, but now you still have Dontavian Wicks. You saw Romeo Dubes with the touchdown catch to kick off the game. And then this game could have really been out of hand had Love connected with Golden on any of those deep balls. One of them was just right through his hands, another one a little bit underthrown. But I think you saw and will continue to see the element of speed that the one Matthew Golden, that 4.29 speed that he brings to the table. He can take the top off of defense, stretch them thin. And so now Golden, Wicks, Dobbs, the tight end combination, they're going to have to hold it down here until Jaden Reed returns, and he's going to probably miss about 2 months of action with this collarbone injury. Now, the Commanders, right? Hindsight is 2020. They felt real good, and I put the jinx on Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, didn't I, Bill? I mean, I sat here yesterday and pumped him up, told you how talented he's going to be. A big bust out game. No, not so fast, my friends. 4 carries for 17 yards. But Austin Eckler, 8 carries for 17 yards. And he has now suffered what is believed to be an Achilles injury. He too looks like is going to miss some time. He's going to undergo an MRI, is what I understand today. But you think back now, they were so eager to get rid of Brian Robinson, and suddenly now the Redskins are going to have to lean on the rookie Bill with a very thin running back depth chart. I wouldn't be surprised now if the Commanders are in the market for a running back. And I saw, Damian Martinez, I think, got released by the Seattle Seahawks. He's a promising rookie guy. If he's still out there, that's one guy I would probably kick the tires on. But overall, the Packers just look like the superior team. All right. They take it 27-18. And next week, as we look ahead in week number 3, Green Bay will be traveling to Cleveland, and the Washington Football Commanders will be hosting the Las Vegas Raiders in week 3 action. So that is your Thursday night football recap. Now, as I just got on the air, and I saw, I've been seeing a lot of tributes to my good friend Teddy Gavay, the general manager up at the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and I've been grinding on the midnight oil. So I did see, there's been a lot of videos floating around on Ted over the last few weeks because he did have stage 4. And I just got the news that our good friend Teddy Gavay passed away. And, my emotions were running so high on yesterday's show between everything, the turmoil in this country and then 9/11. And I was very emotional yesterday. We got through the show. Ted Gavay, I've known for over a decade, and he's actually one of, I consider him a mentor, right? Because he's one of the scouts I used to see on the scouting trails all the time. And, when I was a younger scout, he kind of showed me the ropes, guided me, took his arm and put it around me and kind of guided me, showed me the ropes. And man, I learned so much from Ted Gavay, the general manager of his hometown Hamilton Tiger Cats, who really, this guy just got the job back in January, and then short after received that diagnosis. And he's worked and grinded up the ladder. He started off as a coach and then a scout, and then assistant GM, and then finally got his general manager job. So, man, I tell you, that's a punch to the gut, and it's unfortunate, because he was a good dude. He touched a lot of people, and so, man, another day, another piece of bad news. And so I apologize here because I just got the news. So we recapped the Thursday night football game. What we'll do is take a quick commercial break, reset, come back. I have some other news and notes I want to get into, plus a look at the college football docket here tonight. So we appreciate your patience, and we'll be back in this quick 2-minute break. Hey, RIC and a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RIC VIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody. All right, back at it again. All right, seeing a place to be. Ric Serritella like it is when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, live 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern. It's your home for real football talk. And one of the realest people I know was Teddy Gavai. We're just getting the news. In fact, my good friend Neil Stratton just texted me the news. Of course, Neil Stratton from Inside the League was on the show last week, and Ted Gavai, one of the best in the business. If you knew him personally, this is a huge, devastating loss for all of us who knew Ted. We just lost our good friend, Craig T. Smith, legendary scout. They were actually on the same scouting staff at Winnipeg at one time. And both two guys I consider mentors and friends. And, rest in peace, Ted. We give our prayers to the Gavai family, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and just getting the news here. So if you're not familiar with Ted Gavai, look him up. Just an outstanding man, a football lifer, cut his teeth into coaching and scouting, finally got the GM job in January at his hometown, Hamilton Tiger Cats, and got diagnosed stage 4. And here we are just several months later. So we continue to talk football. We had the Packers and Commanders recap there in the A block, and I want to talk about some news and notes that I saw from around the league. Now, Xavier Gipson, who we talked about with Howard Balzer on Wednesday's show, of course, we had Eric Edholm on yesterday's show, and we are isolating all of our interviews over on the YouTube channel. So if you want to catch up with Emery Hunt, who joined us on Tuesday, we also had Craig Haley on Wednesday breaking down all the FCS small school prospects that you need to know about. Bryce Lance, the younger brother of Trey Lance at North Dakota State. Max Tomczak, the nephew of Mike Tomczak over at Youngstown State. Just a fountain of information when it comes to the FCS. And Jaden Craig down in Harvard, who's on our radar now, looking to make a name for himself and continue the tradition of Harvard quarterbacks to the NFL and maybe pick up the torch where Ryan Fitzpatrick left off. Of course, tomorrow we'll have Russ Landy on our college football pregame show, and that will be with an NFL draft slant. We'll get into all the marquee matchups, key prospects, names you need to know, and then Sundays are NFL Pick'em. And speaking of the NFL, Xavier Gipson, cut by the Jets, picked up by the Giants, which makes a lot of sense because the Giants kind of had question marks in their return game. And this might be viewed as an upgrade. You know, maybe Aaron Glenn wanted to send a message, but he cut a pretty good return, man. He's been pretty explosive there. Xavier Gipson, I look for him to maybe not play this week, but moving forward, assume the kick return position role. Maybe he will. I mean, it's not that hard. If you know how to return kicks, you just go back there, catch the ball, which is the hardest part, and do what you can, young man. All right. Also, Rocket Sanders. This is the name you need to know for the Cleveland Browns this week. He's been activated and is expected to play. And that's because Quinshon Judkins, who was the last rookie to sign his contract with that legal situation, he's still on the exempt list. So Quinshon Judkins may have a long ways to go in terms of getting up to speed with the playbook, getting into game speed. And so they're going to unleash Rocket Sanders, Raheem Rocket Sanders, who you may remember from Arkansas, finished up at South Carolina. But if, you know, last Sunday, I told you, look out for Braylon Allen, and you saw Braylon Allen for the Jets just busted up the gut and barrel over people, big bruising running back. Well, Rocket Sanders is in that similar mold. He's a big 225, 230-pound back that makes you make business decisions. And I'm looking forward to this affair because Cleveland is hosting Baltimore. We've talked about how well Joe Flacco performs in that stadium. And once again, I'll get my official picks in on Sunday, but I think this is going to be a much closer game than people are anticipating when it comes to that matchup. All right. How about a couple of things that I saw percolating around? Derek Carr, the once thought to be retired Derek Carr, came out and said, no, hold up. I'm still training. And I won't say I'll never come back. Really? Interesting. Because we talked on yesterday's show with Eric Edholm about the 49ers quarterback situation. They're going to give it a go with Mac Jones this week. We talked about could they possibly explore a trade for Kirk Cousins. Of course, they did bring in the journeyman Mike White for a workout. I don't think he has been signed yet. But if Purdy's going to miss extended time, does it make sense to at least kick the tires on Derek Carr if you're San Francisco? It's worth pondering, no? I'm interested to see, like, why would you come out and say that all of a sudden if you weren't monitoring what's happening around the league? So maybe Derek Carr and myself are thinking alike, but I thought that was interesting. And then how about the report from the Providence Journal? Shout out to Providence, where I went to school up there at Johnson & Wales University, and I know Rhode Island very well, and it's good to see the newspaper still thriving. And Mark Daniels for the Providence Journal had some tidbits on the Bill Belichick relationship. You know, this whole back and forth thing now with Bill Belichick banning the scouts from Chapel Hill saying I'm not welcomed in their facility, so they're not welcomed in ours. And then Mike Vrabel came out and was like, "Yo, Bill, you're welcome in the building anytime you want to come through, buddy." Well, anyway, we're finding out now that you know it's not a very well kept secret that there's a rift there between Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick, and we're starting to understand more as information becomes available to us. And shout out to Mark Daniels for the Providence Journal. He reports Bill Belichick wanted to keep Matty Patricia as the offensive coordinator in 2023, and Robert Kraft overruled that. All right. So he kind of took some of that authority and decision making when it came to his coaching staff away. In fact, it also reported that in 2023, Belichick was so upset by naming Gerard Mayo the future coach in waiting that Belichick refused to talk to Gerard Mayo the entire year. And Mayo was the defensive coordinator, if you don't remember. Who you pointing the finger at here? Oh, by the way, Belichick, they said, grew so frustrated with Mac Jones, who's going to start here for San Francisco this week, that he actually stopped talking to him altogether. Just ignored the guy. And Mac Jones is telling people that the Patriots stopped coaching him. So Belichick, if he doesn't like you, you're just dead to him. Even if you're his defensive coordinator, even if you're the starting quarterback, even if you're the owner of the ball club. He don't like you, he just shuts you down. So I think with this latest news, there's no shot of Bill Belichick ever returning to the NFL. But I'll be like Derek Carr. I'll never say never. But I don't see it. And, Kraft did put in the phone call, according to reports, when Belichick interviewed down in Atlanta. RKK put in that call to Arthur Blank and said, might not want to go there. So it's a fascinating development, especially since, what was it, just last week, Robert Kraft was like, yeah, when Belichick retires, we'd love to talk to him about having a statue. And it's like, all right, well, why do you got to talk to him about it? Why do you got to wait till he retires? Like, if you just want to build a statue, Bobby. Well, the games, the war of the words through the media is pretty fascinating to watch. So we'll continue to see how this Belichick saga continues. But one of the feedback that I've gotten, you know, just an under the radar storyline with the whole Chapel Hill situation is like, a lot of, and maybe not so much at North Carolina this year, but a lot of these players now have NIL agents. And a lot of these NIL agents are also certified NFLPA agents. And so I've spoken to the agent community, and moving forward, if Bill Belichick is there, well, if there's an agent who has a client at North Carolina, maybe they're managing his NIL, but they're also influencing his career decisions. And so I had agents tell me, like, hey, if they're not going to get looked by all 32 teams, why do we want to have our client playing at that school? And, you've also heard reports out of Denver, for some reason, the Broncos scouts were banned. And I've been hearing a lot of scouts haven't been allowed in Chapel Hill. Now, I got to thank Bill for allowing me to come during our All Access Football Training Camp tour in August. I got to see the Tar Heels up close, got a ton of great intel. They couldn't have been any nicer to me, to be quite frank. So I can't say that I shared the same experience, but it's out there. And, I think there's more to come. What else we got going on here in the world of football? I mentioned the Draft Insider was posted earlier today. You can get down on it. Texas A&M versus Notre Dame. We also have Tennessee, Georgia highlighted, over 60 prospects for you to consume. We've got projections, measurements, scouting reports. That's published every Friday. Of course, the world famous All Access Football Report, published every Wednesday, read by 50,000 subscribers from 70 countries around the world and all 32 NFL teams. And on Monday, we'll have our Scout Notebook, courtesy of the NFL Draft Bible Scouting Department, who's doing a kick-ass job. Last week, we brought you 15 players that we were scouting over the weekend. We'll have another report on Monday. And of course, our NFL Draft Watch continues to roll on. We've published Miami Hurricanes this week. I think we published the Duke Blue Devils Draft Watch. So if you want your the pulse of the 2026 NFL Draft, Florida State, we just posted yesterday. We're spitting out content like we've never done before over at All Access Football. And there's some great stuff there, like John Idzik's interview with Neil Stratton, who just texted me the news. John Idzik, the former Jets general manager, who's now working over at Sumer Sports, and he assumes the role departed by Thomas Dimitroff, who joined the Saints front office personnel. But Thomas Dimitroff was over there at Sumer Sports. They've got like 25 former scouts and GMs on this staff. Like, it's incredible. I was listening to that interview on Scouting the League that's available at All Access Football. He said, we've got over 1,000 years of scouting experience on our staff. And he goes, I challenge anybody to put their staff up against ours. And as good as we're doing here at the NFL Draft Bible Scouting Department, I don't think we have 1,000 years of experience quite yet. I've got 24. Our guy, Howard Balzer, who was on Wednesday, has got 50 years covering the NFL. And by the way, I don't think I've announced this on the air yet. Howard Balzer is officially locked in each and every Wednesday here on the All Access Football Show. So we'll have rotating guests, but Wednesday, Balzer, the H-Bomb, he'll be a staple. And we're lucky to have him, a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter, Sirius XM Radio, of course, Cardinals Wire, NFL Insider for 5 decades. He'll be here each and every Wednesday to shed some insight on the world of football. So Russ Landy also locked in every Saturday. And honestly, that's becoming my favorite show here. It's only our second week on the All Access Football Show, but that's becoming my favorite. All right, what we're going to do now is take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to go over the college football action tonight. There's a handful of games. We're going to run through them, give you some names you need to know, some prospects we got our eye on. We'll be back right after this. Hey, RIC and a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world-famous All Access Football. And you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world-famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RIC VIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow, the show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody.
My dad has a message for you. He said, you are watching All Access Football.
All right, back at it again. All right, seeing the place to be. Ric Serritella telling it like it is when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin. It's the All Access Football Daily Show, live 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern. Buckle up, no days off. We got Austin Brooks, the film guy, set to join us in about 7 minutes or so. He's revving up the engines, and he's locked and loaded to talk some college football with us. We're going to dive into that Georgia and Tennessee game in just a moment, but there are some teams in action tonight that I want to get on your radar in terms of NFL draft prospects, and we'll run through these as quickly as we can. Indiana State 2-0 at number 22, Indiana 2-0. This is going to be a blowout. Indiana's favored by 48.5. I think they're going to cover that. 6:30 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. Fernando Mendoza, this guy is moving up draft boards. He's a big arm, big body, can make all the throws. And some people think he could even catapult up into that first round equation. We had Emory Hunt on Tuesday talking about Taylon Green from Arkansas. Well, keep an eye on Fernando Mendoza from Indiana. And they've got an explosive offense. You know, they got the transfer running back Roman Hemby from Maryland, who's been on our radar. Elijah Surratt, a talented wide receiver who's probably in that mid-round range. And then Mikael Kamara is intriguing. And we have the scouting report on Kamara up on the website. But he's an intriguing guy because if you look at the measurements, he lacks arm length. I think it's just under 32 inches. And so that's going to be a problem at the next level. I'm curious to see how the NFL scouts view his draft stock, and whether or not he gets a Senior Bowl invite could determine or dictate how high he soars up the draft boards. All right, Colgate 0-2 at Syracuse 1-0. Syracuse favored by 37.5. They should cover that as well. The over-under 66.5. So they're counting Syracuse to put up a lot of points. I don't see Colgate scoring too many points. Will they get to 67? I don't know. But one thing I do know is the legend of Steve Angeli from Don Bosco Prep out of New Jersey. The legend continues. You saw him with that comeback win, rallying the Syracuse, and they've got a really good-looking safety in Deuce Chestnut. That is definitely on the radar, maybe a day 3 type of prospect that you should be checking in that one. All right, Colorado at Houston. This one's 7:30 p.m. on ESPN. Houston favored by 4.5. The over-under is 44.5. Houston 2-0. Colorado 1-1. Of course, Xavier McKinney, the latest Coach Prime protege cornerback prospect there in Colorado. We've got a first-round grade on him. Not quite as talented as Travis Hunter now. Let's pump the brakes, but he's got size, instincts, athleticism, and I'm looking at McKinney there for Colorado. Over on the Houston side, Connor Wegman, who you may remember, highly heralded recruit, began at Texas A&M, kind of fizzled out there. He's now the starter for Houston, who's 2-0, and Tanner Koziol, a big catch radius target tight end, just a mammoth length and big playmaker over the middle. That Tanner Koziol there for Houston. And then Kansas State at Arizona. I've had a chance to get my eyes on Kansas State. And I'll tell you, this linebacker, Austin Romaine, he just flies around the football field with his hair on fire, sideline to sideline prowess. He's only a junior, so he still has some eligibility left. But this guy is going to be an NFL Sunday linebacker. I don't know if he's going to declare for the draft this year, but remember that name, Austin Romaine. Avery Johnson, I'm a little bit lower on than some of the other folks out there. I just think that he's got a long ways to go in terms of his development, his ability to read through progressions. He's more of a one-read quarterback and then take off and run. And he's a very elusive guy, excellent scrambler. But just in terms of his development, his accuracy, his ability to read defenses, everything that's involved with that CEO position at quarterback, I don't think Avery Johnson should really dip his toes in the draft pool. I'd like to see him come back another season and continue to develop, but he definitely has some tools that's appealing to NFL scouts. Now, Arizona 2-0, hosting Kansas State, who's 1-2. This is actually the fourth game for the Wildcats, and they favored here on the road by 1.5. Over-unders at 54.5. And Arizona's got a good-looking pass rusher in Trey Smith that we're monitoring there. Okay, of course, Noah Fafita, the short little scrambling running back. He's a very tiny, pint-sized signal caller. He's kind of fizzled out after my coach there from my own high school, Fish leaves, Fafita kind of fizzles, and we'll see what happens. That one's going to be 9 p.m. on Fox. Okay, and then we've got, by the way, I saw Dylan Edwards returns for Kansas State, the running back there. He could make a difference in the return game as well. Just another storyline to keep an eye on. And then New Mexico, 1-1 at UCLA. UCLA is favored by 15.5, over-unders 52.5. The Bruins looking for their first win. They should get it here. It's a late-night affair, 10 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. And, of course, all eyes on Nico. Of course, the former the former Tennessee quarterback who took his talents to Hollywood and had about 30 fans and family and friends in attendance for that first game debacle. A little bit better in the second game. We'll see if he can continue to improve and recoup some of his draft stock that seems to have bottomed out here early on in the season. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games for you to digest to just warm you up for the Saturday showdown, and we've got some really good ones on Saturday. In fact, that's the cue for our next guest and somebody who I love chopping it up with. I'm really looking forward to this interview. And if you check out his YouTube channel, as I alluded to earlier in the show, The Film Guy, I mean, he is just cranking out content left and right. He's all over it, and I know he's got his finger on the pulse, especially when it comes to the Georgia Bulldogs. So I'm going to welcome him on to the show right now. He is Austin Brooks, and we welcome him to the All Access Football Daily Show. Austin, what's happening, my man?
Hey, man, I'm doing well. How are you today, bud?
I'm doing good, man. I really appreciate the YouTube channel, everything you got going on, and a little bit of motivation. I see the back wall, the inspirational quotes, man. I just love it. I need some inspiration today, so thank you for joining us here.
Hey, no doubt about it. No promises on the inspiration, but I'll bring the juice. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that.
I know it. I know you will. And I wanted to pop you on here because the Georgia Bulldogs have a big test here against the Tennessee Volunteers. And, you know, they've won quite handedly in recent years. I think double-digit points in the last consecutive 8 seasons, something to that effect. But Tennessee's offense is high-flying. I think they got the second-ranked offense, 605 yards a game. Georgia's got a top-ranked defense. So who better to chop it up and break it down than with you? And I don't know, like, where do you want to start with this big-time matchup? We'll start on the Georgia side of the ball. Who are some key players that you're keeping an eye on here?
Oh, I got a list of guys. You're a draft show, right? I just heard you spitting out a bunch of draft takes. Let me give you some guys. All right, these are all box players, okay? These are all line of scrimmage and linebacker athletes, okay? Chris Cole, number 9, is a hybrid linebacker edge rusher. He's going to be a 10-sack guy and a 60-tackle guy by the time he leaves the University of Georgia. I think he'll be a first-round draft pick. All of the things that Jalen Carter lacked in terms of height, weight, and speed, this kid's got it. This kid's 6'3.5". This kid's, I mean, I would say closer to 6'4". He's 230 pounds, runs like a deer, and now's learning how to rush the passer. Like, covered wide receivers in high school when they needed him, go out there and play bump and run corner. This is the type of movement skills. As a true freshman, Georgia used him in the slot to cover really good tight ends when they split out. Okay, that's how good he was as a true freshman. Now, he's their specialty pass rusher on obvious passing downs, and he's getting home. So watch out for him. Juan Gaston's played 17 snaps. That's all I needed to see. He's going to be a first-round draft pick. He's 6'8". He's 360 pounds. He doesn't even have his man muscles yet. and he's murdering people. Okay. He was so good at the University of Georgia in 15 practices in the spring and fall camp that he beat out a top 100 prospect in Daniel Calhoun and another top 100 prospect in Michael Unai. Like that. He's going to be the next one at the University of Georgia. Monroe Freeling, they think is Joe Alt. I'm pumping the brakes on that. I don't think he's that good yet, but he's damn good. He's going to be a top 32 pick at the left tackle position. Elijah Griffin is a kid that they have been telling me about since he was 14 years old down in Savannah, Georgia. Okay, they have been talking about Elijah Griffin being, quote, the next Jalen Carter since he was 14 years old. He's been playing through 2 games, and I think he's 90% of Jalen Carter without the spit, if you know what I mean. Quintavious Johnson, okay? Quintavious Johnson is an edge rusher for them. This is a high school quarterback, guys. He was 6'5", 250 pounds. He's a 4'6" athlete. I watched the NFL draft Robert Beal out of this place in the 4th round, and he had no tape. Quintavious Johnson's going to have all the tape by the time he leaves this place. I think he'll be a top 60 pick. Kristen Miller is probably going to be one of the first 5 defensive tackles drafted this year. What's that? That makes you a top 90 pick. That makes you a top 70 pick in today's NFL draft. I watched a singular game of true freshman Donald Glover, and I'm going to tell you right now, that kid's better than the guards that are starting right now that left Georgia as a true freshman. He walked into Georgia and figured it out. He just got there in the summer. He's got an opportunity to start week 3 on the road against Tennessee. Dontrell Glover. Dontrell Glover. Remember the name. Not Lethal Weapon. My bad. I'm too old for this stuff. Dontrell Glover. Okay. Yeah. A dude. Now, I just rattled off 7 football players. By the way, 6 of which are underclassmen. 3 of which are true freshmen that I think are going to be top 70 draft picks, all on the line of scrimmage. That Georgia's getting back to what it was, I think, several years ago, where we're spitting out. You look up and you're like, damn, Georgia just spit out 6 first-round line of scrimmage players. I think it's going to get like that pretty soon.
Man, I'll tell you, I don't know how Kirby does it, because I saw there's 11 5-star recruits on this roster, and probably about 24-star recruits. I mean, there's blue chippers all over the place.
Look, I'm waiting until the end of the season and because it's more of an off-season study, but I've been talking to scouting directors and scouting departments, and we have data on this at this point since Kirby's been there, right? Like, you run the numbers on where the 5 stars go and what the hit rates are on those 5 stars. It's not just getting them, it's developing them, right? It's turning them back out into better football players, because they don't all hit, right? The first round hit rate's 50%. The 5-star hit rate's probably got to be like 30%, 40%. It's got to be less than that, because we're talking about 17-year-olds, not 22-year-olds, all right? It's a much higher variance. Not at Georgia. You talk about them 11 5-stars. Ain't many of them sitting on the bench at the University of Georgia. Most of them are playing, which means most of them are hitting. They're good football players. They're great evals, and it's not always like that at other universities.
Yeah, I personally think Kirby Smart is the top recruiter in the game. Now, obviously, NIL can play a factor, and Phil Knight, he's got $50 million laying around over at Oregon, and Texas Tech seems to suddenly pull out money out of the blue, and that'll have a factor. But when it just comes to recruiting talent, I mean, I don't think pound for pound there's anybody better than Kirby.
And he's been like that for 15 years now, man. Like, he was Saban's sniper for a long time. You go back and look at those that 2009 to really like 2015 run. Alabama is the juggernaut, and not just on football grass, but like on recruiting grounds. And it's because their defensive coordinator is a lunatic. He was a lunatic at Alabama. He's a lunatic at Georgia. He's obsessed. He's a sycophant. He's all of those things. And he's a great relationships builder. So something about that guy, man. I've never been around someone. And look, I run small businesses now, like as a content creator. We got people that work for us. I have no idea how he's able to manage at the rate that he does at the I'm in your face. I'm angry, like anger management all the time. Yeah. And people are just like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like, eventually you would think they're like, bro, I'm sick and tired of this dude. Like, bro, he walks around practice for 2 hours with a microphone screaming over the loudspeaker. When he mother F's somebody, The whole town of Athens can hear it. It's booming everywhere. And that's very special and unique about him, man. With that, it doesn't get old. Like, if you do that, any other person tries to do what he has done, you are going to burn everybody out so fast. Dude, he's got a defensive line coach in Trey Scott that is sworn up and down on everything he loves. He ain't leaving this place. He's been here since 2016, was one of the first hires. Glenn Schumann has turned down jobs left and right. He turned down the defensive coordinator job with the Eagles to stay in Athens, to coach for a maniac. All right, his tight ends coach, Todd Hartley, has been here since 2016. All right, I don't think his offensive coordinator's leaving him. It's his best friend. Will Muschamp has come out of retirement to just sit in meeting rooms and shoot the shit with these guys. It's a very unique thing he's got going on down there. There's no doubt.
That's unbelievable. I want to ask you a question, and you may or may not know. And you mentioned Alabama, and I wonder if this is part of the reason why Saban got out. But I did see a report floating around this week stating that Alabama has less than $20 million in their NIL kitty. I'm just curious to know, do you have any pulse on what the Georgia collective looks like? Do you think that's accurate in terms of Alabama? What's your thoughts there?
The difference between the two is that Georgia's discount still applies, right? Georgia's promo code of we win championships and we got one of the best football coaches in America. That promo code and discount code still applies at the University of Georgia. It don't apply at Alabama. So, yeah, the greatest coach of all time leaves, which means you got to go start paying players. Hey, breaking news. If Kirby Smart retires or goes to the NFL tomorrow, Georgia's up a creek without a paddle because they're going to have to go figure out how to buy players like everybody else. Yeah. We live in a world of college football now where it's a player acquisition sport. Acquisition, purchases. You got to go out and buy them. But also, I don't want to hear nothing about this because they're recruiting pretty damn well in 2026 right now. They recruited well in 2025. They still got a blue chip roster. They're fine. What they got to worry about is effort, consistent gap assignment football, consistent execution. Why is Caden Proctor playing at 375 pounds? Anybody got an answer to that one? You cover the NFL. You cover the NFL draft. How many premier 6'5.5" offensive tackles are living on Sundays 45 pounds overweight? All of them are 330 pounds. All of them. So you're the unicorn? You're the guy that gets to play at 375? Those are the questions that I would be asking. Not what, do we have enough money? Buddy, you got blue chippers everywhere. Y'all got one of the best rosters in America, and you lost by 17 when you were favored by 14 because the backside safety's loafing on the 17th play of the football game. And we want to talk about roster money? No, don't bring me that. Don't bring me that. Don't bring me none of that. Bring me corrections. Don't bring me, I ain't got enough money. Bullcrap. You got enough talent. I see it. It's all over the place. You going to see it when they're drafted on Sunday too?
Talking to Austin Brooks, the film guy, he said he's going to bring the juice. He wasn't lying, folks. Make sure you check out his YouTube channel. He's live Monday through Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time, so you can shift gears from the AM to the PM, from All Access Football to the film guy. Now, we're talking Georgia, and we'll get to Tennessee, but we've got a lot of guys still yet to cover because talking about the portal, how about these Branch brothers coming over from USC, the Zorros, Zakira and Zion, they both made an impact here early on.
Yeah, Zach Branch, the slot receiver, he's an NFL football player. He was a blue chip prospect coming out of high school. I actually have a buddy that coached against him in high school. Says he's the best football player ever. I think he scored a touchdown in every form and facet you can in high school in one game. I think he had a punt return, a kick return, offensive reception touchdown, a carry for a touchdown, a throw for a touchdown, a pick six, and a fumble recovery.
Damn. Yeah.
He was a 5-star at 5. He was a 5-star at 5'8". That tells you how good of an athlete this guy is with the ball in his hand. And he was that the first 3 games at USC. Now, here's the problem about Zach, and he will never be a first-round draft pick because of this. The catch radius is really, really small. Like we're 5'8". We got really short arms. We can't really catch it outside the framework of our body. USC fans thought he had a drop problem last year because of this. He has decent hands. The problem is the catch radius is so small, and every corner you play against nowadays, whether it be in SEC or Power 4 football or going up onto Sundays, they're all 6 foot plus. They're all long and rangy unless their name's Kamari Lassiter and they're the best athlete on the field. If that's the case, you've got to like get him the ball without bodies around him. And that's what Georgia's doing a good job of right now. You mentioned Zion Branch. Man, he was really, really banged up at USC. All right. He had a good spring, but I don't know if he ain't playing a whole lot right now. And I don't know where he's at in that pecking order. It looks like right now they play 2 safeties like most people at Georgia. Some college teams are playing 3 safeties nowadays. I don't know if you're paying attention to that. But anyways, they got 2 safeties. KJ Bolden's one of them, and he ain't coming off the field. And then the other one right now is Kyron Jones. And he must have done something right because he's playing with a damn hornet's nest on his hand, and they ain't subbing him out. So they ain't really worried about him making plays on the football. He's practiced well enough to be out there one-handed and beating Zion Branch. And it's not just him. It's Adrian Maddox, UAB All-American last year that ain't really playing a whole lot right now. It's Jaden Harris, who transferred from Miami, who ain't playing a whole lot right now. It's Ja'Cory Thomas, an in-house 4-star that ain't playing a whole lot right now, because Kyron Jones is back there playing.
Good stuff. Zakiya Branch, the wide receiver, I have him here expected to run in the 4.3s, but, you make a valid point with the
quicker than fast. I don't know. 4.3s means you got quickness and long speed, right? I don't know if Zach's got that. He's going to run 4.42, and the 10 split's going to be some astronomical thing, and he's probably going to have the fastest 5.10.5 split at the combine. He is he reminds me of almost like Tank Dell with like muscles. If I gave you Tank Dell and put a muscle package on him, that's Zach Branch. It's Zachariah, by the way, Zach Branch. And I'm Brooks Austin. I didn't mean to fix you, but yeah. Austin Brooks Austin. So sorry, Brooks. Hey, wait until I tell you my middle name. Wait until I tell you my middle name is Thomas, dude. Wait until I tell you my middle name is Thomas. It's all jacked up. I could be Austin Thomas Brooks, Thomas Brooks Austin, Brooks Thomas Austin, which ironically is the most unlikely combination of the 3, but yet what my parents decided on. It's not your problem. It's my mama's fault.
Well, Brooks, I've been told to watch out with people with 2 first names. You've got 3 first names.
3.
Watch out for Brooks Austin here on the All Access Football Show. All right. I was going to say, being the nephew of Cliff Branch, Pro Football Hall of Famer, NFL bloodlines, it doesn't hurt either. Now, a couple other guys I want to ask you about, like Ernest Green. I really love his film from last year. He's a little bit shorter than the prototypical tackle, but he does have 34-inch arms. So the length is there. The height might not be there. I love his film, but there's not a lot of people as high on him as I am. What's your take on Ernest Green III?
Yeah, it's tough. Like, I think a lot of people are going to get into the bad habit of saying, oh, he could be a good convert to guard. Y'all aren't watching that kid play. He don't have a lot of anchor, to be honest with you. He does not have a lot of, I can move you off the spot. So the idea, he's a body guard type with tackle play style. And that's really, really tough. And he doesn't have the foot speed of like an Isaiah Wynn, who fits that category, right? Coming out of this same program several years ago, 6'3 1/4, long arms, really quick feet, stays in front of people, played in the league for 6 or 7 years. I don't know if he's still on a roster, but lived, right? Survived for a while at that body type. Ernest, the tape last year wasn't as good as the tape from redshirt freshman year, because you like the tape. He was playing without one arm last year. He basically tore his rotator cuff early on in the year, was playing with one of them shoulder slings, really couldn't fire that outside hand. And his edges got compromised because of it. All right. There was a couple of times, specifically Ole Miss, if you go watch that tape, he's kind of getting ran around upfield because we have no ability to get that upfield arm engaged. So I am curious, and he started the year this year banged up. All right. So we had shoulder problems last year. We came in with a back thing. I think the back thing's firing back up right now. We got back spasms is what it sounds like to me. We got nerve things going on in our back right now. So there's that. And by the way, there's a 6'10" dude hanging out on Georgia's roster right now. I don't know if you know this. His name's Ja Jackson. He's a former high school basketball player. Actually played AAU basketball for LeBron James. He's a monster. If he just figures out how to play football, holy hell. There's that. They got some options there. He's playing tackle. He's playing tackle. And I kind of gave him some crap last week on the channel because He was a little lazy in play action, right? Like letting our feet die, letting our hands die, letting people, oh crap, it's past. Now I'm going to engage. Well, if he's playing and you're not, you're giving up a pressure. Well, come to find out, he played the whole game with like an ankle injury. So that was good news to me, because when basketball converts come over to football, the number one thing we question is toughness, right? Are you a football player? Do you have a football player's mindset? Sounds like that's clicking for him, which was the last infinity stone for someone who's got all of the traits in the world. Like I said, 6'10", 360, moves like fairly well for a football player that size.
Yeah, Liam Fornadell is one of those guys hanging out in the NFL. So, all right, Austin, we're up against it here on the time. We didn't get deep into Tennessee. Jermod McCoy, I guess, is the big name, but he's not going to be playing.
Yeah, I'll give you some. I'll spit them out for you, though. Arian Carter, number 7, linebacker. He's great. I think he's an NFL body type, too. Real long, rangy, physical, covers the 53.5. Okay, he's really, really good. Anthony Josephs, all right, the edge rusher. Maybe it's Joshua Josephs. I always flip that up. Yeah. Number 19, okay. He was taking snaps from James Pierce last year, and not just because James was tired. All right, he was taking snaps from a first-rounder last year. He's really, really good. Ty Redmond, the true freshman corner, 6'3", long, rangy. They think he's like, they call defense like they think the damn true freshman's Darrelle Revis. So just watch that. I would be paying attention to that from the Tennessee side of the football. And they have a true freshman, 5-star offensive tackle, David Sanders, got NFL pedigree. I think we might see him this weekend. I don't know if I would. He's been hurt the first 2 weeks. I don't know if I would make your first impressions on a college football field against Georgia. But if he swims on Saturday, he's a shark. You know what I mean?
I love it. I'm down here at the Jersey Shore, so we appreciate that analogy, Brooks. And man, you are a fountain of information. When I get my future general manager job, you're going to be my first phone call as my top guy. Just incredible information. Tell the listening audience at home, the Film Guy live Monday through Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. Give them a little taste of what's on tap.
Yeah, no, you just nailed it. That's us. We do a lot of content over there. If you love college football, we're the place to be. But if you love football in general, I know it's a draft podcast. Like, we're breaking down players every week ad nauseum. Okay, we do 5 or 6 film studies every single week, 5 hours of live coverage or film study coverage on top of the almost 11 hours of live coverage on our network. It's the place to be during college football season. There's no doubt. Appreciate you for having me, man, for sure.
Dude, this was outstanding, and look forward to talking with you down the road somewhere in the near future, my man. Awesome.
No doubt. Be good.
That's Brooks Thomas Austin coming in hot with 3 first names, and we appreciate his time. Very busy man, and just an incredible. I've been digesting some of the content on his YouTube channel over at the Film Guy. It's just, I mean, you just got a glimpse of what he brings to the table, and man, oh man, we're going to try to match that tomorrow with our guy Russ Landy as we talk more about the Georgia-Tennessee game. But you just got a great primer. Man, Austin Brooks doing his thing. Now, we're coming up on the end of the show. I saw my good friend Tom Goodhines in the chat room with the news, as we mentioned earlier in the show. Our good friend Teddy Gavay passing away, GM of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And I saw during the commercial break the tributes and memories flowing out there online. So I haven't had to had a moment to reflect personally, but we tried to do that on the air the best we can. Been a rough 2 days here emotionally on this roller coaster ride, which is the All Access Football Daily Show. We're live 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off. Buckle up. It's your home for real football talk. And boy, I think we delivered on that today, didn't we? I at least hope you feel that way. And if we did, do us a favor, smash that like button, share it, subscribe it, get the new show alerts, and we appreciate all the love and support. So with that being said, we got to say one last shout out to the Ted Gavay family, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and definitely a huge loss in the football community. Tomorrow, we'll be back at it again, 10 a.m. Eastern, for our Saturday college football pregame show with the NFL Draft Slant, more of where we left off today with Russ Landy. That's each and every Saturday. And so we're going to make sure we get that in along with our Sunday NFL Pick'em show. I was 11-5 against the spread. I did have the Commanders with the points. I had the Packers to win. I thought it would be a close game. So we're 0-1 on the NFL docket, but we're going to bounce back on Sunday, give you some winners. So buckle up for that. Tune in. We'll catch you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, everybody. And we thank you so much for joining us on this 12th edition of the All Access Football Show on September 12th, 2025. Hey, RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day Circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RICVIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody.